Thousands of years ago, much of northern Europe was buried beneath an enormous layer of ice. A frozen world stretched across the Scandinavian landscape. Slowly moving like a giant river of stone and ice, it carved valleys, it shaped mountains. It polished ancient rocks and created the countless lakes that now define the northern wilderness. When the glaciers finally disappeared, they left behind a landscape that still feels connected to that distant past. A place where nature moves slowly, where seasons decide the rhythm of life, and where some landscapes remain almost untouched by human hands. Northern Sweden is not a place that reveals itself quickly. There are no dramatic entrances, no crowded streets leading toward famous landmarks. The further north you travel, the quieter the world becomes. The forests grow wider, the settlements become fewer. And eventually, the landscape begins to belong almost entirely to nature. Beyond the Arctic Circle lies a region known as Swedish Lapland. A vast wilderness of mountains, forests, rivers, and frozen valleys. And hidden within this Arctic landscape is one of Sweden's most remarkable natural treasures, Abisko National Park. Located near the border of Norway, Abisko is surrounded by some of the most dramatic scenery in Scandinavia. Here, mountains rise above wide valleys carved by ancient glaciers. The Abisko River flows through deep canyons, carrying water that began its journey from melting snow and distant mountain streams. The landscape feels both powerful and fragile, a place shaped by forces far beyond human time. Abisko was established in 1909, making it one of Sweden's oldest national parks. Its purpose was simple but important: to protect a unique Arctic environment where plants, animals, and natural processes could continue without major disturbance. More than a century later, the park remains one of the finest examples of northern wilderness in Europe. What makes Abisko special is not only its scenery, it is the relationship between everything that exists here. The mountains influence the weather controls the vegetation supports wildlife. and wildlife completes a natural cycle that has continued for thousands of years. Nothing exists alone. Every part of this landscape depends on another. During the short Arctic summer, Abisko experiences a transformation that seems almost impossible. After months of darkness and freezing temperatures, the snow begins to retreat. The valleys slowly return to life. The frozen ground awakens, and suddenly, a landscape that appeared empty becomes filled with movement. Small Arctic flowers bloom between rocks. Green plants cover the valley floor. Birds return from distant migration routes. For a few precious months, the Arctic becomes a place of endless activity. The midnight sun changes the meaning of time here. From late May until July, the sun never fully disappears below the horizon. Instead of darkness, there is a constant golden light that passes across the landscape. The mountains glow differently every hour. The rivers reflect changing colors. And even at midnight, the wilderness remains illuminated. For visitors, it feels unusual. For the animals and plants of the Arctic, it is a necessary gift. A short window to grow, feed, and survive before winter returns. But Abisko's true character appears when the seasons change. Autumn arrives quickly. The green landscape slowly transforms into shades of orange, yellow, and red. The birch forests surrounding the valley become one of the most beautiful autumn landscapes in northern Europe. The air becomes colder. The first snow begins to appear on distant peaks, and the wilderness prepares for another long winter. Winter in Abisko is a completely different world. The mountains disappear beneath snow. Rivers become frozen pathways. The forest becomes quiet. Temperatures can fall far below freezing, yet life continues beneath the frozen surface. Animals adapt. Some migrate. Some change their appearance. Others survive by finding shelter beneath the snow. The Arctic is not an easy environment, but it is an environment where life has learned extraordinary ways to endure. Among the most iconic animals of this region are the reindeer. For the Sami people, the indigenous people of northern Scandinavia, reindeer have been connected to life, culture, and survival for centuries. Their relationship with this landscape goes far beyond geography. The mountains, forests, and migration routes are part of a living heritage passed through generations. Long before modern borders existed, people were already following the rhythm of this land. Moving with the seasons, understanding the weather, respecting the environment. Above the valleys, golden eagles and other birds of prey search for movement across the landscape. Mountain hares change their coats with the seasons, becoming almost invisible against snow-covered ground. Small creatures hidden beneath rocks and vegetation play their own important role in maintaining the Arctic ecosystem. Even the smallest forms of life contribute to the survival of this vast wilderness. One of Abisko's most fascinating locations is the Abisko Canyon. Over thousands of years, flowing water has carved its way through solid rock, creating dramatic cliffs and deep channels. The river continues the same process today, slowly, quietly, changing the landscape one season at a time. Standing above the canyon, it becomes clear that nature does not measure time like humans do. A human lifetime is only a brief moment here. The mountains think in centuries. The rivers think in thousands of years.